Welcome back. Wow, seems like forever, hasn't it? But it's actually for us been about 4 sectons, or roughly 6 months of your time since our last adventure. Come with me, let's take a little flight across the stars here. Of course, this is the Milky Way, but notice we're zooming in real fast on this one section. Okay, now below, you're going to see a solar system of roughly 13 planets. Notice those 3 big gas giants there towards the middle of the system? They are Gaga, Gogo, and Gigi, respectively. And around those big mothers are about 47 moons. And they are one of the reasons I am in this system at this point in time. This is an independent system with 3 major races controlling their respective planets and moons. Now, twice every stellar year, the property and mineral rights to those moons come up for what is called the negotiation. A leader from each of the 3 main powers will meet, and all is settled in a way that does not involve civil war or any form of bloodshed. Now let's zoom in towards the 4th planet of the system. Let's call that one Hojo. Alright? Catching the name scheme here? Alright, don't worry, it gets easier. Now let's zoom in on that planet. Now this is one of the most advanced of the developed civilizations to have sprung in this particular solar system, if not the most advanced. Now let's go in a little closer and see that beautiful moon hanging there? Well, that's where the Derbyshire is right now. You see, their moon is mainly a staging ground for shipping, plus that's where the helium-3 is mined and various other goods are traded in a small outpost on the backside of that moon. Alright, they're going to come into this later. Now let's keep going. Now as you'll come in, you're going to notice this is a nice little world with greenish blue seas, many lakes, 5 major continents. And as we come closer, you're going to notice all the usual signs of civilization, especially on the dark side of the planet as we come across, and you see all the twinkling lights of various lamps and light posts and cities down there on the surface. And now we're coming in the day side and coming in on the western edge of the largest continent. And there, sitting there on the edge of the sea, is the massive city of Mojojojo. It has the beautiful silver skyscrapers, hovering traffic, good old ground traffic gridlocked in the usual morning rush hour. But we're going to avoid the major part of the city. Sure, it's beautiful, it's progress, just a thin layer of smog. And we're going to head towards the docks. Seems like docks on every world all look the same, smell the same, and, basically have that same nuance. It smells like an armpit, if not worse. Our destination is straight ahead, right there next to the boat launch, that little squat 2-story brick building. Okay, it's a saloon. You can tell by the neon glowing lights. It's kind of a giveaway. But what also makes it obvious are those 3 beautiful shuttles sitting parked outside in the lot, each one having the symbol of the respective major corp and or power of this particular system. But you'll notice that mine's nowhere in sight. I had to park at the freaking starport, and now I'm going to get charged for it, probably on an hourly basis, but oh no, diplomatic duty. Okay, but let's get back to our story. Enough of my worries. Okay, now let's go inside. Typical saloon feel, people wandering about, drinks in their hands, smoke hanging in the air, various things we won't discuss that people light up and inhale. But let's focus on the back. Standing there is a very ornately decorated hand-carved wooden table, and sitting around it are the representatives of the 3 main powers of this solar system. Now, representing the outer planets is that bug-eyed looking fellow with the obsidian armored skin of his race, wearing a headdress reminiscent of the once Native American chiefs of old Earth War. This is Chief Yankowanka, representing the native tribes of the outer 5 planets. Now, representing the inner 4 planets is Roderick Stoolmaker. That human fellow wearing the red satin jacket, with an almost albino look. His red eyes give me the shakes. And lastly, there's a younger looking guy in a business suit wearing a fedora. That's him, that's Tud Fark, who is here representing the Mining Guild of Venus. And of course, you already know me and Eric, but let's sit in on things and begin our story. Death Moon. Okay, gentlemen, we once again find ourselves at the table of negotiation. I want you to think very carefully. Your next actions and words will determine who gets majority share of the mineral rights of the 47 moons of Gaga, Gogo, and Gigi. I believe we left off with you, Chief Yankawinka.
About freedom, on behalf of the native tribes of the other planets, I will take 4 cards.
Alright, Mr. Stoolmaker, how many cards for you?
The Presidium of Inner Worlds will take 2 cards.
And you, Tudfark?
The Modern Guild of Leaders takes 5 cards.
Okay, dealer takes 3 cards. Please remember that quiddies are wild, and so are one-eyed poins. I open with 400 acres on GG21.
I see your 400 acres, and I raise you 100 acres.
I see your 500 acres and raise you 100 acres.
I see that, and I raise you both 200 acres.
So, Mr. Stoolmaker, what happened to Dave? Why isn't he here representing the Presidium?
He suffered a heart attack about 3 months ago.
Really?
Well, it doesn't surprise me. Dave was always a wild one. After that skiing trip to Olympus Mons a few years back, he was never quite the same.
Oh yeah, he was stuck in that chair with only one, like his left hand was working.
Oh, I remember now. Yeah, he had that creepy voice synthesizer and that blue cybernetic eye stuck in the middle of his head. Ah, well, let's heft one, everybody.
Let's heft one for good old Dave Ross.
What did you say his name was?
Okay, so basically we're playing cards for planetoids. Alright, the game we're playing is Squeech, which has been around for a couple centuries. Has its origins in poker, ziddledoo, and I think there's even some Texas Hold'em thrown in there for good measure. It's basically an evolved form of poker that just came up through the space lanes and just kept growing on its own. My main purpose here is to moderate between the 3 other powers, and it's a duty that I'm glad to perform, especially when I'm doing it in the name of, well, ulterior motives. After a few hands and a couple of drinks, Chief Yankawanka slipped me a little, computer disk underneath the table. It has some info that's going to come in handy later. But mainly, I was out here on the fringe because I had kept hearing rumors. Ships were disappearing, as well as entire colonies, and other strange things. And I was like, maybe we should investigate this. Oh, well, alright, I won't lie, it wasn't my idea. I got contacted by the Council of 12. And they said this is a very disturbing development because should this be some type of weapon behind these so-called disappearances, then we don't want the TSA to get their hands on it. So, as I'm sitting there playing, and no, I don't get to keep any of the planetoids, acres, or whatnot that I win, but what we do get is a substantial share in their profits for the coming year that gets funneled back into, our resistance operations. Okay, for you people who've listened to the previous adventure, remember that little line I said about things never go smooth? Let's take a look outside. Outside the back door of the saloon where this is all taking place, there stands a strange-looking young man wearing a leather jacket, and he's got a comm device out and seems to be about to have a conversation. This is the Bosun. Bosun, of course, you didn't get to meet because he didn't get to go to Skydark. Instead, he got a, half-expenses-paid trip to Argolis rather than the trip to New Vegas that they were expecting. Well, New Space Vegas. You're about to meet him for the first time, as well as my communications officer Sparks and the ship's doc, Dr. Rory Schoffield. That's all I wanted to chime in for now, because we're not going to have much time to talk. As I said, things don't go smooth, and things are about to take a definite left turn south. You see, one of the players at this table has just told me what could only be an outright untruth. And one of the things you're going to learn out there in the dark as you travel through space is that untruths only lead to one thing, and that's betrayal.
Okay, Sparks, how are things going up there?
Cargo is nearly loaded. Also loaded up on some helium-free and a health supply of dolomite to trade.
Good to hear. Any word from Dr. Schoffield on thawing out the Emperor?
Hang on, I'll patch him in. He has all the gobbledygook.
Schoffield here.
What is the status on that cryo capsule?
I almost have it worked out. If it had been tenant standard issue, it would have been much simpler. But whatever race had built this modified it for human anatomy and didn't want it opened easily.
Keep me updated.
One thing, it started a few minutes ago. I have been picking up some incoming signals on lower bands. Doesn't sound like normal Shargo traffic.
Well, if it...
Get the boss and get out of there now. It's military. They're talking about planetary invasion.
Shot.